So we have 3 speakers. Please, please, 3 speakers switch on their cameras. Everyone else, please, no camera on. Jitin, can you? Super. Okay, cool. Thanks. So 20-minute fire chat style panel. So I'm happy to have with me Jamil, Joshua, and Alex there he's also. Perfect. Okay, cool. So what do we want to talk about? Title of the presentation of the panel is Cost and Development Trends for Today's Solar Technology. So in the end, it's a little bit kind of reflecting on what we've learned in today's presentation and simply see what that means. It's also the first panel of 3 more to come for the coming days of this event. So let's see that we sort of want to somewhat high level set the scenes before we then delve more into details on the following days. So yeah, here we are. The manufacturing sector has huge issues. It doesn't look like it's going away tomorrow. I just recently saw, I think Alex showed that as well. I also saw something from PV Infolink. A lot of people were quoting them today also. Some price slides until end of 2025, and that was pretty straight lines. There was 0 movement, no up, no down. I don't know if it will happen this way, but I think it's dramatic. I was also at Solar Solutions in Düsseldorf. That's the last trade show for installers in this year in Europe, I believe, and the mood was not too great. You could hear about, and Europe is at the moment probably at the forefront of low module prices. You could hear about fire sales of 5.5 cents, and actually even deals signed that are at 8 cents or so for next year. So that means not some warehouses that's being sold. So I think it's somewhat dramatic. So, and the question is, maybe start a little bit general. So what do you think can relieve, and just as a starter, the situation of the sector in the next few months? Maybe the consultant first.
So I think, as I showed in the slides, we don't think that overcapacity is going away anytime soon. Certainly not in the next few months, unless there's a wildly rapid series of bankruptcies, which seems unlikely at the minute. So I think any big change in the near term has to come from the industry being more disciplined about production volumes and about prices that are being offered. Whether they can manage to do that in the near term is maybe a different question. I think probably actually we do have to wait for some more players to exit the market so that there are fewer players left that can kind of exert that discipline. And there's lots of the right noises coming out of industry meetings in China that get reported about everyone saying we should have more discipline on production. And I mean, Chinese poly production, wafer production volumes have certainly come down a lot from their peak sort of March, April time. But those cuts haven't been aggressive enough. So I think we have to see some more aggressive cuts in production, because I don't think, the demand growth that we expect for next year isn't enough that you can just wait for demand to catch up.
Okay, thanks. Jamil, maybe, so does the industry have this discipline? Are the big ones actually cool enough that they can manage that pressure? Because of course you have to produce, right?
Yes, of course, definitely. We are actually, as GA is aware of this on the top since the beginning, and they have been following all what is happening. As you said, it's really hard to predict what's going on in the near future, actually. But there is a big hope that, yeah, definitely something needs to change in this way of marketing and all this competition in order to bring it back and going again positive, because as you said, it's for everyone now. It's difficult for all the competitors or PV manufacturers are struggling, let's say, but I think at the end we need to also include, in terms of customers, they need to include other factors rather than the costs in order to be more effective in going further.
So what I feel, I think Alex mentioned that also, is that some companies, and I think smaller ones maybe have an advantage, and especially those who have some production facilities in Indonesia are at the moment the one who, who have the biggest advantage, because they can get into the US, which is one of the few spots where module prices are really, hefty profitable still. So how is JA actually positioned there? How is which markets are your priorities there? Are you also trying to kind of move things, change priorities? Is that the way to go? Maybe also to somewhat sort of come over the winter?
Yes, definitely. So the production is not just limited in China right now. So there is also in Vietnam, and also in the next time will be also in the US actually with this production. And definitely there is a strategy that GA are following now to try to diversify the manufacturing sites and not just keeping it as what it is.
Okay. Maybe Joshua, how are things on your side? So it's rather about reducing production than adding new. Although, of course, you mentioned also that back contact is maybe somewhat of the new hot thing, and maybe also a way out. We were just recently at the BiFi event in Zhuhai, so where my colleague Min was moderating a panel with the CTOs of ICO, Longyi, and a high-level technologist from Maxion. And so I think, and it was really, I think, a lot of excitement there. Is this the way to go? So how are you positioning yourself? Of course, there's on the one hand now the geostrategic changes, movements with new facilities being especially built in India. I think there's something going on in the US. We have to see, of course, now as the government changes, how that pans out or further develops. And how are you seeing or yourself in this very difficult phase for the sector?
Yeah, I think so. It was definitely, let's say, known after 2023, which was a very record year, that 2024 will not continue like this, and that we see, I mean, the overcapacity was expected, and especially as an equipment provider who, until we have new facilities running, so we are always a bit before seeing such trends, and therefore we definitely was expecting this and could also prepare ourselves for it. And I really think that what we see currently is that for the high efficiency products, there the market is still there, let's say, while on the lower end side there it's getting harder, and it's really a strong price fight. So there I think there's really, we have an edge with the XPCs, and having there the opportunity to still move forward and see also expansion plans currently happening, and therefore this will also help us as Laplace to get through, let's say, this more difficult phase currently in terms of just standard TOPCon new production plans.
That would be my question. So define high efficiency, because I think there's still some upward or potential for TOPCon. So, and would companies at the moment or invest in new equipment, or just try to rather kind of optimize what they have? Because as I understand, it's it's rather so much unused capacity, so you probably would not invest in new.
No, but it's happening in both. We definitely see it on the XPC front, but also for TOPCon, there are some players that move to. It's more adjustments, so a few tools here and there to optimize, or because you do a small different process step, you need a different of tool sets. So it's definitely on the small numbers to really push the efficiency there higher. But also within the TOPCon, we saw that there is still room for improvement, and there is still new developments to push it further. So I don't see it yet as that TOPCon has reached the level completely. I think we also have seen it today with the announcement that there are still improvements and new modules coming out with higher efficiencies. So it's not yet the case that it's just, okay, TOPCon now, if you have a line, it's your line, and you don't need to improve it anymore or to build new lines. But with the current market situation, of course, there are little players that say now, okay, let's build a new TOPCon line. It's the big ones that say upgrade slightly here and there the line to the newest technology of the TOPCon.
So we have this this two opposing trends. On the one hand, everyone wants to go to higher efficiency, which is probably more costly. So we saw Jinko's announcement, which seemed pretty exciting. On the other hand, of course, we heard even Sinan that you could even think about kind of creating the silver content actually which of course has an effect on efficiency. We also recently had a reliability event where, of course, everyone said we don't compromise on reliability, but truth is probably that somewhere you have to make compromises. And so the question is, so what's the priority actually to decrease cost? So for everyone, while striving at the same time, let's say, keeping reliability and increasing efficiency at the same time, where can you decrease on cost for the coming month? Because that's the way to go. Prices are not going up, as we learned from Alex. Alex, what do you see from your clients?
So I think in some cases, using different materials is an option. So for example, this year we've seen more alternative frame materials. There's some interest in moving away from silver and towards copper, tweaking things like encapsulation materials. We have to hope that that's not at the expense of quality. I think occasionally we've seen things where maybe things are being pushed quite far. So sort of the amount of aluminium in frames, for example, or some encapsulation choices. I think if you're a module buyer, you maybe want to be a little bit cautious about sort of specifying some of the specifics of the module BOM if you can, to ensure that quality is still there. But I think some alternative materials will give opportunities for cost downs beyond some of the ones that we've put into our model already.
Okay. Jamil, so what's your priorities actually to bring costs down while keeping reliability and improving efficiency?
Definitely, I agree with Alex. Also, what he said in terms of materials, actually, there's still room for improvement, especially the encapsulant or the polymeric layers in general. Actually, they have been showing new generation. Each time they are upgrading by changing the additives in the encapsulant, for example, or by enhancing its efficiency, the efficiency of the encapsulant. I think this is one easy and faster way to reach these goals. And another one is also the process itself. So as I said also in the presentation, by implementing this zero busbar solutions, the process of the silver paste itself has been updated to using lower temperature. For example, lower temperature means lower energy and lower cost, at the same time to have a higher efficiency. So still a lot to improve, and at GA's R&D level, they are actively working on that.
Okay, and maybe Joshua, from your side on the manufacturing, on the equipment side.
Yeah, I think Jamal had there a good point also in terms of there is still always room for improvement on the process side, to have small improvements, to combine two steps, to reduce temperature, to get also in terms of higher throughputs of the tools, for example. So this all reduces then the costs again in the final, because it reduces gas consumption. So you get in many points small improvements. I think there is definitely in the moment a part in the metallization still. So also the move to the zero busbar technology that does again quite a significant change. And even though we are less involved there, but in the module side, as mentioned, we definitely see also the supply chain of the encapsulants and so on. There is still room of improvement, and there are costs that can be saved.
Okay. Maybe Jamil, so you showed in your presentation that you improved TOPCon cell efficiency by around 1.5 percentage points in less than 2 years. What do you think is still possible? So what does your roadmap show also on the module level, and what's next? So I think there were a couple of guys talking about, especially also Joshua, about back contacts. Is that the way to go, or is rather HJT in the in between to be tackled? You have to unmute, please.
Thanks. So for the roadmap, still for JA, TOPCon is still the priority number 1. But heterojunction and back contact are already active at the R&D level of JA. And unlike the PERC previously, where it has stagnant in terms of efficiency, here for TOPCon at the cell and the module level, again, we still are improving. What I could not share because of the time, for example, we are also including this LRF, this layer, which gives us this reflection, which is kind of coated on the glass back rear side. And with this one, we are also improving even more the efficiency just by incorporating this layer at the module level. This is just an example, but yeah, I think definitely working on the module level and the design, we can definitely push forward the TOPCon technology.
So one step is, of course, moving ahead and improving, and then at some point moving to the next generation. And so I would like also address once this IP issues that we're seeing now in the solar sector more and more. So especially now it's TOPCon, where some companies even started in the US to produce PERC because of IP issues with TOPCon. And there's also positive developments, because I think it's good if, of course, one company invested, found something out, and they license it and then shares it with others. And I think with LICO that has happened, which has become a new standard developed by one company, and I feel that's working smoothly here. But what are you seeing in the sector at the moment? So is this somewhat also disruptive, slowing us down at a time where obviously everyone is very vulnerable anyway, and somewhat with the back to the wall? Alex?
I think it's definitely slowing some people down, hence why we're getting some PERC cell lines in the US rather than TOPCon. It's not necessarily slowing everyone down. How much that's a question of appetite for risk, and how much that's a question of being sure that you're not at risk from some of these claims, I wouldn't want to comment on that. I think in the long run, I don't think it will slow down the industry as a whole too much, but it will lead some manufacturers and some buyers to make certain choices in the near term, I think, and especially we're seeing that level of concern in the US.
Which means, I think if, let's see, this US manufacturing renaissance really takes place or moves ahead, actually, that you might move from PERC then directly one step ahead. one step further beyond TOPCon, or?
Well, I mean, possible unless any of the back contact TOPCon also infringes on the TOPCon patent. So it depends on the patent quite heavily, because the sort of TOPCon that I think we're most bullish on, sorry, the sort of back contact that we're most bullish on, still is going to use TOPCon-like contacts on the rear. So depending on exactly what patent you're worried about infringing, it's not step number 2 after TOPCons could still have some risk potentially.
Okay. Anyone else wants to talk about IP? Also, maybe also on the manufacturing equipment side of things, Joshua?
It's definitely something that is very present currently, and it's something that for us, intellectual properties, we respect very highly, and therefore also we have our own team and looking in all these different law cases and patent issues, let's say. But as mentioned, we are also a very technology-oriented company. We had very early already on the TOPCon our own patent, and we develop our global patent portfolio. Currently, what I see from the patents that we analyzed and how we see the patent situation, we think that especially with our structure and the IPCVD route and the TOPCon structure and process flow that we follow, that we are not infringing any current patents, and therefore we also can promote and proceed with our customers to give them confidence and to protect and have them deliver the process flow and equipment that are not infringing any patents. Therefore, we don't see it as it's definitely out there, and we can see how customers are affected by it or how it is influencing the whole market, fearing a bit the US, but we also don't see currently an actual danger against Laplace.
Okay, that's promising. Okay, maybe quick, so we're coming towards the end. Let's talk a little bit about next-gen technologies. Yeah, I think it was exciting to see also, Joshua, how you showed your full line for back contact now, that you are offering. Alex also had, I think, a pretty optimistic view that TOPCon, if I recall correctly, could be at 40% market share in 2029. That compares to, I just looked it up, ITR-PV, seeing back contact below 15% in 2031. So is this situation now really pushing and accelerating the move to higher efficient technologies? Are we seeing that? And will, I don't know, back contact now move, I don't know, try to establish itself a little bit? We have the three companies now pushing on it fully, or mostly fully. And then actually everyone jumps on that. So what do you see here?
Yeah, so I guess from our side, it's still a bit of a preliminary view, because at the moment it's hard to model back contact costs well, because it's more in-house and more secretive than, for example, TOPCon was sort of back in 2018 or so when we started modeling TOPCon. There was a lot more info out there about process routes and manufacturing choices and materials usage and things like that than there is for back contact, where it's being kept a lot more secret. So it's a bit, I guess our view is a bit preliminary, but we are, I guess, fairly bullish on it. I mean, from one perspective, because we're not convinced that perovskite silicon tandems are going to be ready yet as the next step when sort of standard TOPCon starts to reach its limits. And I think the longer the gap is there, the more chance there is of back contact coming to take big market share in that gap between where sort of both sides contacted TOPCon starts to get towards its efficiency limits, and where sort of perovskite is ready to take over in a tandem structure.
Okay. Joshua, you said you have 100% market share in that field, close to. So
Close to, yeah.
nice position. Who else is talking to you and showing interest? So how are you seeing things?
I mean, I definitely see the interest in the back contact technology, and also in the, let's say, from the cost perspective, because it's clear that from the efficiency perspective, and then also to position yourself as a company as a high-end cell manufacturer, this is very interesting. But we definitely see also it's now still at the very early stage of the back contact technology in terms of process optimization. And we have seen this with the TOPCon at the early stage, that it was also expensive, but by increasing the capacity and by really working on the process flows, there are many little steps that you can take to improve and getting the costs down, because it still has now these additional steps. There is still work on the whole supply chain that is not yet on the TOPCon supply chain. So there are a few components and core components that can still get much cheaper also on the XPC side. And then also on the process side, really by, for example, the polysilicon thickness that is currently higher, longer process, meaning higher costs, but then this can be improved and catch up to the cost of a TOPCon process. And then the high efficiency is just the selling argument, or the one that is lead to get the cost per watt to get beneficial. And therefore, it's a bit, as Alex was saying before, I don't see the perovskite tandems yet coming that soon. And then if this gap is long enough, there is the need of moving to the back contact, I would say quite evident, just in terms of efficiency potential. And I think China has shown with TOPCon already that with the mass production, with just optimizing the processes, the costs can get cut down, and there will be many smart ideas how to cut down the process steps to get it done even more efficiently.
Okay, I think we're coming to an end. Let's maybe final question to everyone. So let's assume prices actually won't really change until the end of 2025. So for both cells modules, even if it goes a little bit up and down, but more or less stable. So that means the price pressure continues for over a year now. So what would you see in terms of cost and development in the sector happening in this 12, 13 month that are ahead of us?
I think that probably varies a bit manufacturer by manufacturer. So some of those that are maybe more on edge and in cash preservation mode might not have much room for innovations that look to the longer term, and will just have to look to anything they can do to stay alive and cut cost, the next month, the next month, the next month. But I think some of the bigger players with an eye on where things are going to be in 5 years' time, they'll still be doing what they need to do on back contact and on tandems and things like that.
Okay. Camille, what are you doing?
Definitely the same idea, the same overview what just Alex said. Basically, for GA, the evolvement of the technology will still continue despite the price or the cost. There is still improvement. Maybe if it was really significantly not changing the price, maybe the switch to the new technology will be harder. But within the TOPCon or within the technology we are using, I think the development will still remain pushing and boosting forward.
Will it also be help, I think, for the big companies to kind of act in the market as total solution providers. I think that's what you are also doing more and more, right?
Yes, definitely. Exactly. So yeah, basically the strategy is clear. At GA, for example, they are really looking ahead what's going on in the future and not just thinking in here.
Okay, perfect. Final statement, Joshua.
Yeah, I think I mean, very much agree here with my two panel colleagues that they are the big players. They are big enough to say we promote and push this technology further by our R&D team, by ourselves. It doesn't need to have this consortium of 10 small players that all push a little bit the technology to the next level. They all have, from the whole supply chain, their own integrated way of pushing it to the next technology. And there are enough big players that can really be this pool of, let's say, application group to push it to the next level and to get to the next technology in the next. So in the end, it's a down cycle now, but the PV market was always like this. So we always have every few years again this down again. We don't learn from it and then stand up and go up again. So it's a tough 1-2 years now, and then I definitely see the market coming back and looking back to a bright future.
Okay, I think that's a nice final statement for the panel. Thanks a lot to everyone. Just a few final words and also what's coming next. So once again, thanks to our sponsors. Here is our latest report that we published 2 weeks ago. Just an overview on the latest modules that were presented at trade shows. This week we will come out with one on inverters and storage, and soon our backsheet market survey will be published. Then we have here several more reports which you can all download on our website. Tomorrow's event will be about heterojunction. I think that will be great. We will have also a nice keynote from Kening Ding from Forschungszentrum Jülich. He's the organizer of the HJT workshop, so he can summarize the latest developments in that field. Recently, there was a workshop in Catania, and we will also have Thrisan Enel speaking where this workshop taking place. So I think a very interesting crowd of people, also the market leaders who are Sunrising in this field. So stay tuned for this, and yeah, there will be also an interesting panel where they discuss HJT status and outlook. And that leaves me once again to say thank you to everyone, to the panelists, to the speakers, to the audience, and last but not least, to the TaiyangNews team. Thanks a lot, and looking forward to have you also for the upcoming 3 days. Have a nice afternoon or evening. Thank you. Ciao.
Thank you. Sure.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.